It is a great honor and a privilege to introduce Jerry Stein. You grew up as Gedalia Dan, and we're with your daughter Sharon, and we're here in your beautiful home in Jerusalem. But you originally from Englewood. You made Aliyah from Englewood, but you were born in Czechoslovakia.
Right.
So if you could tell us a little bit about your family and how you survived the war and your incredible journey making Aliyah at the age of 96.
Okay, I'll start telling you that we lived in a small town and my father had a major operation of supplying food and everything else for the area that we lived in. And it was very tranquil living. There was no anti-Semitism until the Nazis started taking over Poland, and then they started with the war. In 1941, they already came into our area and they took a lot of the Jews and sent them over to Poland.
So, you are one of 13 children.
One of 13 children.
Can you tell us a little bit about your family, your parents and your grandparents?
We grew up Orthodox, very, very frum. My
Vishnitz Hasidim.
Vishnitz.
And my father, he would go to the synagogue every morning and stay until 11 o'clock, came home, had his breakfast, and sat in his office. He never went into the store or look at anything what's going on, but he knew exactly what's going on. All the other kids were helping out because we were a family of 11 children.
No, 13 children, but one had died as an infant, and one died in yeshiva when he had pneumonia, and they didn't have antibiotics then, so he died when he was in yeshiva. And my father's the third youngest, so he's telling the story from he was born in 1929, so he's telling the story that he remembers it basically from like the mid-1930s. So by that time my grandfather was already established. He had children who were working in the business that gave him the opportunity to sit in the shul until 11 o'clock in the morning learning and davening, and then in the afternoon he had an office in the house that he did his business from, but he didn't have to go into the store anymore.
And what type of business did he have?
They were supplying the area with groceries and with everything. It was a general store that basically had everything.
And we have a picture.
And we have the picture of some of the children. This was, how many children? 1, 2. These are 8 of the children.
The 2 were married.
Right, the 2 older ones were already married. One was in Budapest, and who were we missing? Yeah.
And Jerry, you on the, if you can show.
This is my father.
And how old are you in the picture?
5.
5.
About 5. Could have been about 5. Yeah.
And what do you remember about your town, Maidan?
Maidan.
What do you remember about the town?
The town?
Your neighbors. You got on well with the...
We all got along very well. Nice. Most of the Jewish people lived on the main street. Not most, but all the Jews lived on the main street. And
did you go to Cheder?
Yes, we went to Cheder. We went to Czech school in the daytime, and in the afternoon we had cheder. So when it came to my getting to my bar mitzvah, my father sent me to the big city into yeshiva to learn. Then on the way back from the yeshiva, I took the bus and to go home for the holiday, which is coming up. It was Pesach. When we got halfway home, they stopped the bus. They, meaning the authorities, they stopped the bus and they took all the Jews off, including me. And they put us into a cell, into a cell, in prison cell. Then the next day, my sister went to the police department because the police department was across the street. So she went there. What happened to my brother? He was supposed to come home from yeshiva for the holiday. Well, didn't you hear? They took all the Jews off in Volova. That's the town that they have halfway home. So she grabbed the policeman. She says, let's go get him back. And they came down and they got me out. All the rest were sent to Poland. Because that was their main purpose in liquidating the Jews, starting with shipping them out. At any rate,
Jerry, can I ask, what do you remember about your bar mitzvah?
I didn't have the bar mitzvah. But after that, I was never sent back to yeshiva. I stayed home and I didn't do anything for the rest of the time until 1944, when they took us into the ghetto and then sent off to Auschwitz.
Daddy, Les is asking you, what do you remember from when you were young? What did you do in the summertime when there was no school? And how did you get to school in the winter when there was a lot of snow?
We walked.
He used to tell us that they used to ski.
North. We lived in the north part.
Near the Carpathian Mountains, at the foot of the Carpathian Mountains.
At any rate.
And your Baba and Zayda, you remember your...
Only one grandmother he remembers. Only one grandmother.
And uncles and aunts?
I remember them, yes. But they were all gone. In 1944, they liquidated all of them. We were put into cattle cars by train.
Do you remember leaving your home?
Yes.
And what do you remember the neighbors, or when you were leaving, when you were being deported to the ghetto?
They didn't. Nobody showed up. They just grabbed us and.
What could you take from the home? Is there anything you?
Nothing you could take. Everything was left there.
And the ghetto, was it in the town? The ghetto, it was...
The ghetto was in Khust, the big city, right?
Khust. And that was the yeshiva that he was in when he was taken off of the bus, yeah.
And how long did you stay in the ghetto?
The ghetto was not long.
About 2 months.
2 months. Until they put us into cattle cars and shipped off to Auschwitz.
And was it most of the family was in the ghetto?
Yes, everybody.
Except for this Uncle Volvi that I was telling you about before, who was in Budapest.
That's the one brother who was not involved in being taken to Auschwitz. He stayed in Budapest with no papers, he was hiding like.
And he survived the war?
He survived.
Well, 7 survived. 7 of the siblings survived.
4 sisters.
And 3 brothers.
And 3 brothers survived. One other brother who was with me in camp, and the one brother who was in Budapest. Anyway, when we got to Auschwitz, I was walking with the two little ones. I was holding hands because somebody had to walk with them. And they sent me over to the gas barracks.
Gas chambers.
The gas chambers. And the camp was on the right side. So when I got about 10 feet before the barrack of the gas chamber, which they always said it was a shower, but it was a gas chamber. And then I looked up in the sky and I said, what am I doing here with all the little kids? I ran in the back of the Dr. Mengele, who was making the selection, and I ran into the camp and I got the number. Once I got the number, I knew I was safe.
And do you remember Mengele? Do you remember him?
Yes. Mengele was in Dr. Mengele. He was standing like a little higher, and he waved here or there to people. He separated the people, which one goes to the left and which one goes to the right.
And you remember getting the tattoo? The tattoo on your arm?
When we got into the
Do you remember getting it?
Yes.
Is it possible to see?
It's being...
And the number?
A8640.
And what happened when you saw your mother and was that the last time you saw your mother and...
No. My brother, I was...
No, your mother. When's the last time you saw your mother?
I didn't see them till after, only at the train. When he got off the train, that's it. Didn't see them because we were all separated.
And Jerry, what do you remember about the train?
The train was a cattle wagon. Was nothing in there.
How long were you on for?
For the train, I don't know, a few hours, not that far. It's not so many hours. I don't remember exactly, I don't remember how many hours. But whatever it is, I don't remember. It was not overnight. I know, because we were taken in the morning, and I think by noon we got there already.
And when you got off the train and you saw Auschwitz, what did you think
We didn't know what was going on. We had no idea what was going on. I mean, I didn't know.
And in your town, did you know what the Germans were doing, or did you have any idea?
No idea.
What was going to happen?
We got no newspapers. We got no radios. There was no such thing. It was all very primitive.
And your father?
That's my son-in-law, David.
Have a good day, everyone. Thank you.
My father was assigned to work in the kitchen in the camp, so I never saw him because I could not even walk there. He couldn't even. We were limited to stay in the barrack or. My brother was in 51, I was in block 48. We hardly saw each other because what happens, we were in the morning, he got up, he got a cup of coffee and a sawdust bread, one slice of bread with a piece of butter on it. That was it. Then we marched by foot to the factories. When we got to the factory, you were assigned to a certain unit, and I was put into a group with bricklayers So I was a bricklayer. I became a bricklayer there. Lunchtime, we got a cup of coffee, a cup of soup, and that was it. Cut back at night, you go back to your barrack and go to sleep. That's it.
Explain what the soup looked like.
The soup was made from the peels of the potatoes. That was it. And every day the same thing. The potatoes were the peel from the potatoes was from the
Nazis, that they got the
Nazis.
potatoes and
right.
they made a soup from the peels.
And Jerry, you were around, how old were you at this time?
15.
15.
Yes.
And your brother, how old was your brother?
My brother was 4 years older.
What was his name?
Hershey.
And did you meet each other? Could you?
Occasionally we were able to steal from one block to the other to see each other. That's it.
And your father, did you manage to see him at all during this time? Your father?
My father I didn't see. 6 months later, they picked him out to send to the crematorium because he lost so much weight. He was like it's called Musliman. He wouldn't eat the soup or anything that was not kosher.
And when did you know what had happened to your mother and your other siblings?
Nothing. We didn't know what happened. We knew already that there was a concentration camp.
But when did you know that they had been killed? Did you realize right away when you...
Right away. You know.
Yeah.
You know right away.
And were you always very hungry? You must have been, there wasn't enough food?
You get used to being hungry, and you get used to being cold in the winter, because all we got, when we got into the camp, we had to get undressed and leave your clothing there. And when we finished taking a shower, we got a striped jacket and a pair of pants, which was like a pajama, and a pair of wooden clogs, no shoes. That was it. And with that, we worked.
And the bunk you slept on, how many people were in the bunk that you slept on?
In the bunk, that at least 100. The beds were one downstairs and one upstairs. The beds were made of grass under the
Straw
on the bed, and a sheet over it, and that was it. There was no
blanket.
no blankets, no nothing.
Hello.
And that was it. It was good enough because we were tired from working.
And dude, how did you continue every day? How did you go for the appel, do they had roll call every morning?
The Pelplatz.
Pelplatz?
Yes. The number, they called by number. That's it.
And you remember it,
Of course, you have to remember your number. They called your number, we stand, and once we got everybody out of the barrack, and start marching to work.
And the other boys that you were with, were they from did you know anyone else? Were there any from your town?
I know some from the town, yes.
Where were most of because this was already in 44, were they mainly from Hungary?
Shavuos 44 already. It was Shavuos 44 that they were taken, yeah.
Were they mainly Hungarian? The boys that were in your barracks, were they mainly from Hungary? Mainly Hungarian Jews?
None Hungarian, no, Czech.
So most of the other boys and men that were in the same barracks as you, Did you know them from beforehand, or were they mostly strangers?
No, strangers.
And they were mostly Czech nationalities.
Right, Czech.
And what did you speak at home?
Yiddish.
So you could speak with the others?
Yes.
Did you speak to people?
Yes, used to be one.
Well, there wasn't much to talk about.
Nothing to talk
My
about.
father's not a big talker, so.
And the German officers, you could understand a bit of their German from Yiddish?
How did you learn to understand the German? That was.
They didn't talk much.
Come and go and run.
Come, that's it.
And Jerry, I want to ask you, you must have seen people dying or people starving?
Well, most of the time, after we finished in Auschwitz, we were sent out on a march,
Death March?
Death March.
This was on January the 18th, in 45.
Yes.
Just a few days before the liberation.
But it was.
No, a few weeks before.
A few months before. Liberation was May. They were liberated May 9th. But Auschwitz was liberated in January.
In January the 27th.
Right. So when they knew that the Americans were coming, the Germans took whoever was left, marched them until you got on a train.
First we went to a camp, another camp.
Gleiwitz. Right.
But this was on January the 18th.
Yeah.
In 45.
Well, the only people that were left in Auschwitz were the ones that were from what I understand, were in the infirmary or the hospital at that point. And they were actually liberated from, if they were not killed, when the Americans came, but when the Allies came. But the majority were taken out, and everybody was taken to Gleiwitz, or
our camp.
This was the death march. You were.
Well, actually, he was on 2 death marches, because one at the end of the war also.
Then after Gleiwitz, then we went on the march.
Then you went on that. So how'd you get to Gleiwitz?
Huh?
How did you get to Gleiwitz?
To Gleiwitz? I don't remember.
Because you used to tell us that at one point you were on open wagons where the snow was coming down,
Right,
and that you had.
That's when we went to Gleiwitz.
That's when you went to Gleiwitz?
Right.
Well, maybe you walked to, I don't know where Gleiwitz is, but I know one place then you also ended up near the Elbe River in Dora, right?
Okay. So when we marched, we walked during the day and slept in the forest at night.
Wait, that's at the end. That was at the end of the war.
Yeah,
No, but now we're talking about in January. In January, when you left Auschwitz and you ended up in Dora, which is a subcamp of Buchenwald, which is near the Elbe River in Germany.
Yes.
And they were there from January until May.
Till liberation.
Right. And then you were on another death march out of that camp.
Out of that kind of.
Right. And that was when they used to.
We marched, and anybody that couldn't walk anymore and left me and fell down, they just put a bullet and walked away. Left the bodies there.
Were you with Harry the whole time in Dora?
Yes.
Okay.
With your brother?
Yes, he was with his brother the whole time, and I remember my father saying that they actually held each other up on this march. You know, when one stumbled, the other one would lift him up, and
Yes, we walked together.
And what do you remember of Gleiwitz? What do you remember?
I don't remember much. I don't remember.
I don't think that they were there long. I think that they were. Did you work when you were in Gleiwitz?
No work.
Yeah, and did you work when you were in Dora?
No.
Yeah, they didn't.
But
Definitely.
you know what's so sad? The Germans knew they were losing.
Right.
They knew it was the end.
But they still had to.
They took all their energies in taking on the death marches.
It's like Hamas knew they were losing also, and they kept our hostages, right?
It's so hard to understand, to comprehend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then finally, one morning we woke up in the forest, and the Nazis were gone. That's what we knew the war was over. And we walked over to the highway on the road, and we walked with a little breeze, and we saw people coming. Trucks were coming, with open trucks, coming and going to the west. This was still in the east, and they were going to the west, meaning they were getting out of Germany. So we walked over to the border. It was very close, and they said, "Well, nationality." We said, "Czech." Go back to, and that's how you can't get across. So finally, a truck came with Italians singing Italy. So we jumped on the truck and we went over. That's how we got home.
And Jerry, can I ask, when you were liberated,
Yes.
do you remember were they American or British soldiers? Did you remember any soldiers?
We went over to the American side, and that's it. But then we went home. We took the train to go home.
But he used to always tell us that they were very grateful. The ones that were liberated by Americans were given candy and were overfed.
Yeah.
And many people died because they were
Everybody
overfed.
couldn't take it.
Exactly. So my father used to say that you were liberated, first you were liberated by the Russians. First the Russians came,
First
right?
the Russians,
And they only gave you just a little bit of food and not a lot of
But
food.
that saved your
and
life.
that saved them because they started eating slowly, not, yeah. So then they got on a train, and he and his brother,
And we got home.
and they wanted to see if anybody was left at home in their hometown. So they started going towards home.
And we stopped the train stopped in Prague, Czechoslovakia, and we got off on the
Platform.
and there they were giving us food for people that, we were still in the original striped uniform, so we could go over and get some. An uncle of ours was there giving us, so he says, "Go back on the train, go to Budapest. Your brother is there." So that's how we got. We came to Budapest, and my brother, he wasn't there in the apartment where he was. We had the address. We remembered where we lived.
Where he was living.
Where he was
staying.
So when we came in and he saw us, he took us to the store, got the suits, hat, and then we stayed in Prague.
This is Pavel.
Huh?
This is your brother Pavel.
Valvi, yes.
Valvi.
Yeah.
And how was the interaction when you saw your brother? It must have been so emotional.
Very, very emotional.
Did he know what had happened to the rest of the family?
They knew already.
No, but did he know who was alive and who wasn't alive? They didn't know. They didn't know. He, at this point, okay, you want to tell how you found out that your four sisters were still alive?
How do we find out?
That your four sisters were still alive.
I know, but how did I find out?
Because you were reading the newspapers every
Right,
day that had the names of...
They always had a listings of people, of survivors. So we saw the listing of four sisters that survived. They were taken by the Red Cross to Sweden. From Sweden, they came to America.
And where were your sisters? Were they also in Auschwitz?
They were?
No, in a different camp.
In a different camp?
No, they were right, but in the women's camp of Auschwitz.
Women's
And
camp
the
of
four
Auschwitz.
sisters
Yeah,
survived.
separate.
Yeah. It was four sisters, an aunt, and a niece who was the same age as my father. That all six of them stayed together. And the interesting thing, before we made Aliyah, we went to visit the niece, who's the same age as my father, and she said the whole time that they're there, they did not work. They did not work. They were just sitting in Auschwitz doing nothing all day long.
Right.
They didn't get much food, but there was nothing to. And one of the sisters, one of my father's sisters, actually one of the married sisters, came to camp pregnant. She had 2 children beforehand, and when they got off the train, somebody told my grandmother, take your grandchildren so that your daughter can survive. So they already had an inkling what was going on. So my grandmother took those 2 grandchildren, and the sister who was pregnant actually gave birth in Auschwitz. And she knew the story that I had heard was that it was in the barracks and that it was somebody had helped her. And then they had to snuff out the baby's life because otherwise the mother would have died also. But Libby, who's my father's niece, said no, she actually went to the infirmary, to the hospital, gave birth there, and then as soon as it was nighttime, she jumped out the window and ran back to the barracks because they knew that they would kill her if she stayed. So there's a little bit of, we're not sure which story is 100, but Libby was there. Libby was the one that knew, so...
and the baby didn't survive?
Of course the baby didn't survive it, and that was the only son she ever had. She had 2 girls before and 2 girls afterwards, and that was the only son she ever had. Yeah.
And all the uncles and aunts, they were...
This Uncle David survived, but no other aunts or uncles survived. Just like his parents didn't survive. I mean, that age group, the 50 age group.
That uncle, after he came to Israel,
yeah,
he survived, and the kids.
The kids were visiting us last night. He has 3 children.
They came here to visit.
Yeah.
One Sima, the one girl, and the 2 brothers. Chamdon and Sim
and Shlomo.
They were Hasidish.
They kept the grandparents' look, but so did some of you. So did Tantor Chlaya's kids. They all have beards, also, right? Who else? That's really basically it.
And Jerry, your brother that stayed in Budapest, he was from all this time. He remained from.
Yes.
They were all from
and the whole
after the war.
Family remained from.
Yeah. We're the black sheep of the family.
It's incredible. But what I find unbelievable is that you were in the lane in the row to the gas chambers with the little children, and you decided to leave.
I decided to run away.
That's just incredible, and that saved your life.
Hashem. He wanted me to survive, so I should have, and I should live. I married a nice girl. I had 3 children, 2 girls, 1
and a boy.
Was the doctor, and he just became. He's 65, so he retired.
That's what you're saying. 3 children, 14
grandchildren, and 52 great-grandchildren, and I have 7 great-grandchildren. This is called Nekoma.
And Nechama.
Nekama and Nechama.
It's a revenge and it's a comfort.
Right.
But Jerry, after the war, you wanted to come to Eretz Israel. You wanted to fight in...
Yes, they wouldn't let me. My sister says, we lost too much, you cannot go.
And your brother, he also wanted to come?
No, he went to Belgium. And I had one cousin with me, Wally, who went with the volunteers.
Who came to Israel to fight.
He came to fight. He went back to England after the war. Went back to England and he married there. But he's also gone already.
The part you're missing is that after my father was in Budapest with Uncle Valvi, and Uncle Valvi was getting married, And my father said he wanted to move on. He didn't want to stay with them as with a newly married couple. So he went to who did you go to? The Joint, and said, I want to leave. And they said, where do you want to go? He says, I don't care. I really don't. Where should I go? And they said, okay, England is accepting 1,000 underage children. He was still 16, 17 at that time.
I have a picture of the picture of the group, the kinder group.
Part of the group. So they actually went. They on their way to England. They stopped in
I'll show you the picture.
in France, and the Klausenberger Rebbe. The Klausenberger Rebbe. So he's getting you the picture of him with the Klausenberger Rebbe. So of that 1,000 children, only about 760. They could only find 760 children underage who made it to England. So he was in England for a couple of years then. And then when he wanted to come here to Israel to fight, his sister said, no, come to America. And that's when he ended up he left for America. This actually is a famous picture that has been shown.
This is the group I went with.
Do you want to say, this is a picture of the Klausenberger Rebbe. This is a picture of my father on his, I think, 85th birthday. 90th birthday. This is my father on his 90th birthday with some of the family.
This is the group I went with.
Yeah.
And meeting the Klausenberger Rebbe, how was it must have been also very special to meet.
He came to ask for volunteers who wants to go to yeshiva, because we were all. I thought I had a picture of the group.
You did.
There's a wonderful
No,
picture.
but no, not
Oh,
that.
you mean the big one?
The big one.
Yeah, that's somewhere in that pile. We have to go. You don't have it on you. That's in with those pictures. We'll get there another time. Yeah.
I don't have it here.
That's the one we just showed, Les.
And your brother went to Belgium?
Yeah,
His brother.
Why did he decide to go to Belgium?
that's.
Did you have mishpacha in Belgium?
Did you have mishpah? Did you have family in Belgium?
No.
No, people were going. They were going wherever
Got
they
a
could.
job there. He went to work in diamonds, polishing diamonds. Yes.
And your other brother remained in Budapest?
The other brother came to Canada.
Yeah, but when? Much
When?
later.
Much later.
Much later. Not until the
Because-
1950s.
In the 50s, right? Because he couldn't come to the States. He had no, unless.
No, he could. You couldn't get him into the States. The quotas.
Couldn't get
The
him.
quotas were.
So I went to Canada, Montreal. I went to shul. Well, I said, "Where's Mr. Stein sit?" He said, "Over there." I said, "Mr. Stein, oh, you have family in Czechoslovakia?" He said, "No." I said, "Now you do. My brother is in he wants to come out." So he came to Canada.
he needed somebody just to sign papers for him, so he looked for another Mr. Stein.
Wow.
Yeah.
And going to England, did you have any connection with England? Any family? Any?
Nobody. No, we lived in a hostel. You know what a hostel is?
A hostel
Where,
in
in
England.
In which part of England?
In
Was
Golders
it in
Green.
London?
In Golders Green.
Yeah. And then
What do you remember about the trip to England?
nothing. This is.
Well, that's when he met the Klausenberger Rebbe on the way there.
On the way-
How did you go? Did you go by train?
We went by train. Yeah.
And so you ended up, how did you end up off the train in France and that you ended up with the Klausenberger Rebbe because it took time?
They had to clear it with the customs.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
And by this time, did you know any English?
No.
So you went to England not knowing any...
Nothing. I learned nothing from the time that I was 12 years. No schooling, nothing whatsoever.
And who did you go with to in the group? Did you have friends with you, people that you knew?
Was Cushy with you at that point?
Cushy was over.
Did he go into Cushy's Volvi? And they used to call him Cushy. Was he in the same hostel as you or in a different hostel?
He was in different group.
Yeah.
And coming to England,
Yes.
You know how they divided them? Who wanted to keep kosher and who didn't? And my father said he wanted to keep kosher, so
That's why he wound up in a separate hostel.
where he was.
and the hostel was in Golders Green. Do you remember the name of the hostel?
No,
And how long did you stay in Golders Green?
not long, because when right away I looked for work, and I found a factory that was looking for a Jewish factory that was looking for workers, which I went to work. I did not go to school. I did not go to learn or anything. I went to work, and then once I got the job in England,
Making some
I got some to live with some family that were taken in,
And what type of work did you do?
making handbags.
And at that point you were cutting the furs for the yeah.
But that wasn't long. That was just a few days. Yeah. And then I worked there on the handbags until I came
To America.
to
So
America.
how long did you stay in England?
2 years.
And do you remember the name of the family you stayed with?
No.
It was a...
But you said she was a German Jewish family couple,
Jewish
right?
family.
And they were
Jewish family.
in Golders Green?
In Golders, I just paid weekly for living there.
That was in the hostel, or that was with
No.
the family? That was with the family. Got it.
And in Golders Green,
Yes.
did you remember which shul you went to? Was it Munk shul? Or?
No. I don't remember. I don't think I went to shul. I just said,
And the British Jews, were they helpful towards you?
yes.
And you learned English slowly? You learned to speak
I
English?
learned English just from not schooling.
He has a knack for languages anyway, so.
At any rate,
And Jerry, you were in touch with your sisters during this time?
yes, I was in touch by letters.
And they sent you, they signed surety that you could come to America?
Right.
Right, they sent me a letter from Yeshiva that I can come to America.
Which yeshiva?
Chaim Berlin.
Hi, Berlin, in New York.
So go on.
So I got the letter. So what do? I don't have a passport. I have nothing. So I went to the Czech consulate. I said, I want a passport. They gave me a passport. They took it on my from the records. They gave me a passport. I still have it. And then I went to the American consulate with a letter off from the yeshiva, and I said I need a visa. Gave me 1 year, for 1 year, a visa. Once I got the papers, then finally I made enough money to buy a ticket on the boat to come to America. Once I got to America, so I looked for.
Wait a minute, tell the story of what happened when you got there at Ellis. You come to Ellis Island.
When I got to customs,
Do you remember the boat? Do you remember the boat trip?
I don't remember the boat. I remember a boat, but I don't remember what boat. And when I got off the boat, you go through customs. So the customs looks at my papers. You have a visa for 1 year. I said, yes, I know. Are you going to school? Yes. Do you have any family here? I said, yes, I have 4 sisters here. "Oh, so you mean you're not going to go back after school?" I said, "Yes, I am," but I lied.
But he didn't believe it either, so he was
Yeah.
sent. So he was sent to. Go on.
I was sent to Ellis Island,
Right.
which is a holding place, and I was there for 4 weeks before my sisters were able to find somebody to put up a bond to get out. I got out on a bond,
And paid that man back.
and now I paid them back already, the bond. But again, when I got to America, again they wanted I should go to learn something. I went to Berlin, I signed in, but that was it. I left. I looked for a job, and I looked for the handbag factory. I found a good Jewish company. I went to work, and he asked me, you have any experience? I said, yes. Well, let's see. Can you finish this? He gave me a bunch of bags which have to be finished. That's the final touch. And I finished everything. Half hour later he comes over. He says, "How you doing?" I said, "I finished." He looked at it. He said to me, "When can you start?" I said, "Now." So I worked there for a few months. And the season was finished, what they call a season. You go collect now. I said, "What am I collecting?" Unemployment. I wasn't even legally working. I was unemployed only for that. So I went to open my own shop. I started making my own handbags. I worked the company up to 300 people working. I had, after a while, it got too much for me to handle. So I asked my brother finally, he made it to the States to join me. So he came in, joined me. We worked up the company. We went public.
Okay. Right.
And then
And Jerry, can I ask, when you came to America and you first met your sisters, how was the reunion when you met your sisters?
Well, he had gone to Sweden to see them before they left
yeah.
to America.
Oh,
So
so
he
you'd
had seen them before. He had seen them once before,
I did,
right?
I did.
That's what you used to. Yeah, you
Oh, so
told us.
you saw them
He
in
had seen
Sweden.
them once before.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it must have been also very emotional when you came to America.
Yeah. Then he lived with one of his sisters for a while, right? You lived with Tante Chesura?
Yes. When I came here to the States, I lived with my sister, with my oldest sister.
For a while.
She got married here.
No, not here in America.
In America.
Yeah.
I mean, in America, yeah. She got married. She had
2 girls.
2 girls. Again, she had 2 girls before the war, and 2 girls then.
That's one who had given birth in the camp.
Amazing. And with your sisters, did you speak about the war between...
They never spoke that.
They never spoke, you never spoke with your sisters?
About the war, no. You don't want to talk about it.
And did you speak to your children?
He did. I remember he used to talk about the camps, and I went to camp. I didn't understand that our camps were not exactly similar. It took me many years to understand that. But I remember one time specifically when a good friend started, we were sort of like on a picnic with another family that my parents were very close to. And I remember the wife, who actually was in Denmark and had remembered being on the boats that was the way she survived. And she started asking my father questions, and it was the first time that I understood that the depth of what he had gone through. And it's not that he wouldn't talk about it. He did start, if we asked questions, he would always answer, but as a young child, you don't really understand what it is. I remember at about 10 years old starting to understand what my father had gone through.
And your mother, your wife, where was she
No,
from?
so she was from Germany. They left Germany in 1938 and came to America. And first lived in Williamsburg and then moved to Washington.
She was an only child.
She was an only child, and they lived then they had moved to Washington Heights, which is where we grew up.
In Washington Heights.
Yeah. And my grandparents, she came with her parents in 1938, and my great-grandparents came in 1942 from Germany. They left. They came through the east, and then coming through California and coming across the country, because that was the only way to get out at that point. But it's hard to imagine that people could still leave Jews could still leave Germany in 1942.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And in Washington Heights, it's very Yiddish.
Very Yiddish. My parents,
And you were
it was my
more
parents and one other family that were mixed marriages. And in Broyes, when you were a mixed marriage, you were a mixed marriage. So, but after many years, people weren't sure who was the Yek and who was the Hungarian between my mother and father. So, yeah.
And Jerry, did you speak to your wife about what had happened during the war?
No, she was no, I don't think so. I think it was more when we started asking questions that. And my father also did not have nightmares, and he wasn't, he said to us that it was because, my mother used to say, he was still young, he hadn't lost a wife and children. Granted, he lost his parents, but he still had siblings alive who they were all very close. So it was a different experience than somebody who lost children or who lost a spouse. He lost his childhood.
And I think 20 years ago, you went back to Auschwitz.
Yeah. We, my father and my brother and sister and my father decided it was 20th 2005 that he wanted to go. And my mother wasn't well enough at that point to go, but she made me I was responsible for my father, so I was very careful. And we were originally going to see if we could go just to the places ourselves, and then someone suggested March of the Living. They were thrilled to have my father as a survivor on the right, and we could not go back to some of the places. We couldn't follow exactly his trail. We went with the itinerary that they had. They said it actually was not safe at that point in Poland. They knew when there were a lot of Jews around, and they said it's not safe just to go on your own. You really have to be more careful. And my father spoke to the kids. These are teenagers that were on March of the Living. Many who were not. This was not a Dati group at all. They knew very, very little about Yiddishkeit, but some of them were grandchildren and great-grandchildren of survivors. So they knew they were Jewish, but they didn't know what it meant. And my father spoke to them about what he had experienced and what it meant to live like a Jew, and not just to say I'm Jewish, but to live like a Jew also.
And Jerry, how was it like going back to Auschwitz? Were you very, very nervous to go back, very scared to...
That's not my father. No, but when we got to Auschwitz, the group leader was very sensitive, and he said to us, take your father into the crematorium first before we all go in. So we got there in front of the crematoria, and my brother said to my father, do you want to say Kaddish? And he actually said Kaddish there for all the people he lost. Yeah.
And when you went back, did you remember the barracks, or did you remember, were there any things that
It didn't look, the barracks that they were in were gone. They're gone. They're gone.
There's a few barracks that are still there, but...
but not where he was. And
you weren't very apprehensive going, very nervous, or second doubts that you should go? Jen, how was it like going? It's incredible to go back with
So
somebody
I had mixed emotions. On the one hand, I was very protective of my father, to making sure that he was okay and that nothing too emotional was occurring with him. On the other hand, to see when you go into Auschwitz and you see the room with the shoes and the room with the hair and the room, it's just shocking.
and see
shocking.
the railway.
It's awful. It's awful. To imagine that my brother got on the bus after one of the days. My brother's very tall. He's over 6 feet, and he sits down in the back and stretches his legs out, and he says to us, "I wouldn't have lasted a day." And it makes you wonder, how did people survive? How did people manage to survive? But one of the girls on the bus wanted to ask, that I was asked permission from one of the leaders, that one of the girls wants to ask my father what she thought of God when all of this was going on. So his response was, I woke up every morning saying, "Thank you, Hashem, for letting me get through the night." And every night when he went to sleep, he said, "Okay, I got through the day. Thank you, Hashem, let me get up in the morning." And I was shocked because I did not know that was part of my father's makeup.
And during all this time, you kept your emunah, you kept your faith in Hashem. That is unbelievable. It's really remarkable. That's such strength. It's just
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Shimon, I have to ask, can we show this picture again?
Of course.
And how did this picture survive?
This picture.
Because this is something.
This picture survived because
This picture didn't survive.
it was a much smaller, right?
But you have a smaller picture.
Right.
And this is a picture of your family.
Well, part of the family. This is only 8 of the 13
But
children.
is this one of the only pictures?
This is the only
The only
picture.
pictures that survived.
Yeah,
From
very
all those
far.
Properties
Huh?
From
Of
all the
everything.
properties.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
and the land.
I mean, you can see how my grandfather, he has a hat on.
Very from.
And
Very,
yeah.
Very Hasidic.
Yeah.
So how did this small picture survive?
Because this uncle was in Budapest during the war. He was not in concentration camp, and he had this one picture with him, and that's how. Yeah.
Pocket picture.
And have you ever been back to Budapest? Did you go to Hungary?
Did you go back to Hungary, to Budapest?
We passed by.
When that
we
time?
went, yeah.
Yeah. My father.
With Jack.
Right. There was another couple in Englewood who was
Came from the town.
next to
No, below
where you had been taken off of the
Right.
train, right? So my parents went back with them, and Jack went back to his town and went with my father back to Maidan, and yeah.
There was nothing left there.
And you went back to Maidan.
Yeah.
Is there any Jews living there?
Nothing. The housing, everything was demolished.
Yeah, and Soviet Soviet-style buildings were put up there.
But I have cousins here who live here. The ones that came to visit last night, they went 5 years ago, they went to Cave Arubas in Maidan.
Gee.
And they, what the bee is.
Yeah.
They went.
So the Beit Forum is still there. It's
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
The cemetery is there.
And you had a reunion with the descendants of all your siblings, and today Ken Hora, it's a very large family.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem.
Yeah, we were a very large family.
Do you know roughly how many descendants there are?
How many there are now?
From the whole family?
Of my grandparents, you're saying,
Yeah,
of my
yeah.
father's parents. There have to be over 1,000 at this point, because some of the families have very large families. It's interesting, none of my father or of his siblings, the most anybody had was 4 children. They all had 2, 3, or 4 children. But then the next generation started having like the 12, 13 children again. And now I think the smallest family is like 4, 5, 6 kids.
And you all keep in touch?
Well, we do to a certain extent. I mean, Baruch Hashem, everybody's got large families, so it's, the majority are in the States. Yeah.
So, Jerry, if I can ask you, what message do you impart to your children, your family, to the next generations?
To be strong. In order. I know what it means to survive, but you have to be very careful. What's going on in the world today, it's not easily, it's not accepted. Not for people like me to see again the anti-Semitism that goes on. Hopefully that nothing, Mashiach will come, so all this will not happen again.
My father takes tremendous pride in the Israeli army, in the IDF. Tremendous pride in the IDF, and he just,
I have three great-grandchildren in the army.
Yeah.
And I think also you went with your grandchildren to Yad Vashem.
Right.
And I think that was a very emotional experience, going there with grandchildren who are serving in the IDF, serving to protect the Jewish people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I have some pictures with the...
So I just want to thank you. I am so incredibly grateful.
Thank you, Les.
This has been for me the most unbelievable zchut, the greatest honor and privilege. There are no words to thank you, Jerry, and to thank you, Sharon, for giving me the opportunity to meet a living hero. Really, you are an icon. You are, you encompass everything that we admire, and
and that Israel stands for, right? Yeah.
To have survived and to be so positive and to have kept your emunah, your faith, I think it is just, there are no words, really. It's just, it's remarkable.
Thank you.
And I'm extremely grateful. Just may Besrim
Amen.
In good health. And Jerry, can I ask you, can you give all of Am Yisrael a bracha?
It's the same like I went for a test, and the girl after we finished, you're very strong, you're okay. That may have asked her.
And then she wants to take a picture with him.
Well, she came from all.
And, it's just been so special. You wanted to fight in the War of Independence, to fight for the state of Israel, for the Jewish people, and coming back after spending so many years in America, it's a different type of, you've come back to fight in a different way. Being here in itself.
This is the home. This is what we wished for every year. So here I am.
You are a true warrior, and we are so grateful. And you are an icon. You're an inspiration to all of us. A true warrior, somebody who wanted to come fight when the state was established, and now you've come back and you're fighting in a different way. Just being here in itself is a victory.
Thank you.
And we are so grateful to you.
Thank you.
So if I can
my
ask,
pleasure.
Can you give a bracha to all of Am Yisrael?
Am Yisrael, the bracha is Yissimcha, the real bracha is Yissimcha, V'rayachem Rasha, Yivrechu Adar Yishmarechu, V'rolechu, Shalom.
Amen. And may Vesrim in good health and mazel and bracha.
Thank you.
And thank you both really so much.
Thank you.
I'm overwhelmed. You are somebody that we are so proud of, and it's welcome home, Baruch haba, and we are so grateful that you made Aliyah, that you're here with us.
I am very happy. Thank you. Thank you.
Toda rabah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay.